this video, I will show you how to create these Imperial style titles. I think they look so cool. Imperial style is just really cool, and we're of course going to do this in After Effects. And if you want to become a pro editor and become better at After Effects, then do join the Social Creator Club Pro. Link is in the description, and you will join a community full of great editors that want to help out. But you also get deep dives on After Effects, Blender, and Premiere Pro. You will learn specifically how to do all the popular styles. You can participate in the editing challenge. You will get access to potential clients, and you will learn how to get clients yourself. Again, link is in the description. Now let's jump into it. I'm first going to create a new composition, 4K 25 frames per second, press OK. I'm going to drag in this sand background. And as a pro member, you of course get the project file and the assets. But if you still want to follow along with this tutorial, the assets are also for free in the free community. Link is in the description. I'm going to press S for scale, and I'm going to scale this up really big just to make sure this is covering our composition. Now I'm going to press R for rotation. I'm going to set a keyframe. I'm going to go a bit further and rotate it. Again, I'm going to go a bit further and I'm going to rotate it again. And we'll do this a couple of times. And then the last one we set back to 0. Select all of the keyframes, right click, toggle hold keyframe, then hold Alt and click on rotation and type in loop out. And what this will do, this will basically animate the background. As you can see, it is a really cool effect. If you want to make it quicker, you can just select these keyframes, hold Alt and drag them closer together. But I actually really like this timing. And what we can do is press T for transparency and then just dialing it a bit lower. It's a bit darker. Super cool. Now we're going to create the line animation, and I'm just going to do that with the pen tool. Set the fill to off and set the stroke to 30 pixels and the color maybe like a dark reddish, something like this. Press OK. Now just click and drag your mouse out to get a really long handle. And let's do this again here. And let's do this again here. So basically there's a nice curve to this. Now I'm already going to add animation. So open up the shape, add a trim paths, open up the trim paths. And let's set the start to 5%. And then we can set a keyframe for the offset, go a bit further and set it to 1. And as you can see, this will add a simple animation. You can also set it to 2 times and then just delete this keyframe. And this will make it loop, as you can see. Cool. Now the only thing I have to do here is go into the shape and into the stroke and change the line cap to a round cap. This will make it rounded, as you can see. That's nice. And now I'm just going to duplicate this shape. And you duplicate by pressing Command D on Mac, Control D on Windows. And then I'm going to open this shape, go into the contents, go into the shape, go into the stroke. And here we can see the taper effect. And the only thing we have to do is change the end length to 100%. Cool. Then I'm going to change the shape color to white so we can see that it's visible. Press OK. Cool. I'm going to go to my effects and presets and add a fast box blur. Just double click to apply it. Then disable the repeat edge pixels and increase the box blur. Then we're going to add a solid composite and change this color to black. And now I'm going to increase the stroke width to be way higher, just so it's more visible, as you can see. We can always change this a bit later on, but ideally you want something like this. Now we can already select the first shape layer that we created and use the track matte feature. So just drag this to the shape layer. Nothing will happen. We need to change the alpha matte to luma matte by clicking on this icon. As you can see, it's fading out really nicely, and that's exactly what we want. Now I'm also going to add a turbulent noise to this. So let's just double click and let's turn the shape layer back on to see what's happening. This turbulent noise needs to be above the solid composite. And as you can see, this will add noise to this. I'm going to set the complexity to 1. I'm going to increase the contrast, not too much, but something like this. And I'm also going to increase the scale by going into the transform and then just increasing the scale. And then maybe we have to change the contrast a bit again. And I'm also going to animate it. And I do that by just holding Alt and clicking on the evolution. And then I'm just going to type in time asterisk 20 or maybe even 200. You know what? Let's see this first. I think this looks really cool. Now turn this layer off and we'll see the effect. As you can see, it has such a cool effect. And of course we can dial it down a bit. If you decrease the contrast, the line will be more visible. Really nice. Now of course to the line we can add a deep glow or a normal glow. Increase the glow radiance and of course the intensity a bit. You can also duplicate this effect, setting the glow radius to 20 to fade it out a bit. And this already looks super nice. I'm gonna move both layers by selecting them and then just moving them up a bit. Then I'm gonna go to the text tool and type in the cigarette. And I'm gonna use touche, maybe regular, Let's make this a bit smaller. And of course, center this, move it up a bit. Now I'm gonna import the lucky strike that we have. Let's scale this up a bit by pressing S and then scaling it, and then also press R for rotation. We can also rotate it a bit. It just needs to be a bit in front of the text. Let's select the text and this image and let's move them a bit in the center. Cool, let's set our quality just to full for a second. This already looks really nice. I'm gonna select the cigarette pack and I'm gonna add some effects to this. I'm gonna add a tint. I'm gonna swap the colors and maybe also changing the black to a bit more like a lighter gray. Then of course we can add some noise to this too. Turn off the use color noise and set this to maybe 15%. Or we can actually add this noise to the whole composition. So we can also go to layer, new adjustment layer and just adding it to this. This will add it also to our text if we zoom in. As you can see, really nice effect. Now, of course, we can also right click on the cigarettes, go to layer styles and then drop shadow. Open the drop shadow. Let's set this to -90 degrees and then increase the distance a bit. As you can see, it will drop a shadow on the text. Now, this is way too harsh, but just to show it, and now we can increase the size and even add a bit of noise to this, maybe decreasing the opacity a bit, something like this. Cool. Now one more thing, and that's the dotted line. I'm just going to go to the pen tool, set the stroke to the same color as the line. And then I'm just going to draw a line, something like this. Now, of course, we need to decrease the stroke width to maybe 5 pixels or maybe 10. Cool. And now while having the shape selected, we can also create our other line. We can just click here and do the same thing here. Cool. As you can see, these are just boring lines. So let's change that. Let's open the shape and we can add a trim paths. And then we set a keyframe for the end. We can drag this out a bit, set it to 0, select our keyframes, right click, keyframe assistant easy ease. This will add a cool animation to it. Now I'm going to go into shape 1, into the stroke, and you see here dashes. Let's click on the plus. This will add dashes to it. Let's increase the dash so it's a bit wider, something like this. And then for the offset, just alt click on the stopwatch of the offset, and then I'm just going to type in time asterisk -100. That should be enough. Let's play this quickly. Maybe it's too quick. Now this is really nice, as you can see. Now we just have to do the same thing on the other side. We can literally just copy the dashes over, open the shape to go into the stroke, select the dashes and press paste, and it will add the same effect to it. Now we can also add a glow to this, ideally a deep glow, but it can also be a normal glow. And this looks super, super dope. Now I want to go to the next part, and the easiest way to do this is to just go to layer, new, null object. Then I'm going to select everything except our background layer and then parent it to the null. Select the null, press P for position, set a keyframe, go a bit further, and then let's move this out of the way. You can hold shift and drag this so it's completely out of the way. Also, let's unlink the adjustment layer, set that to none, and make sure that this is above everything. Cool. Now, of course, select these keyframes of the null, hit F9 on your keyboard to ease them. You can also go into the graph editor and make it even a bit more smooth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this shape layer and I'm just going to adjust one of these paths. So let's just select one, move this by going into the selection tool and dragging this out. Delete the other shape by pressing backspace while selecting it. And let's just quickly play this, see where it ends up. Cool, something like this. This is actually really nice. Now, of course, we need to drag this a bit so the timing is a bit better. Also maybe increase the stroke a bit so it's a bit different than the other one. Now let's just adjust this timing a bit of the null so the timing is really smooth. As you can see, exactly what we want. Perfect. Now for the next scene, we're just going to import these cool crates. We can just drag these in. Now let's press S for scale, scale them up a bit, position them a bit. And then we can go back to our Lucky Strike cigarette pack and copy our tint over. Command C on Mac, Control C on Windows. And then of course Command V on Mac and Control V on Windows. Now I don't like the look of this. Let's maybe swap the colors, see what this looks like. That is actually quite cool. Now I might go into the white. It's a bit less bright. Press OK. Make sure the adjustment layer of the noise is above this. So this will add noise to this, as you can see. And I'm just going to create a simple grid. So I'm going to go to Layer, New, Solid, Black. That's totally fine. Press OK. Go to Effects and Presets and add a grid to this. Cool. I think I'm just going to keep it like this. Then go to Layer, Precompose, and we can call this a grid. Make sure Move All Attributes is set to on. Press OK. Then I'm going to make this 3D. Press R for rotation. Set the X rotation to something like maybe 60 and the Z rotation to maybe something like 32. That's cool. Let's drag this out a bit so it looks something like this. Now again, I'm going to go to Layer, New, Solid. I'm going to go to the Ellipse tool and I'm just going to draw a simple shape. Hold spacebar to drag this so it's looks a bit like this, maybe a bit smaller, something like this. Press F for feather, then drag this out. And then with the grid, I'm gonna drag this track matte pick whip to black solid. Perfect. Now, of course, you can adjust this mask a bit to make it maybe a bit bigger. See how far we can go. Maybe something like this. And I'm gonna press T for transparency on the grid. I'm gonna dial it down a bit so it's a bit less visible. I'm gonna make sure that this is below our crate. And then of course also make sure that all the layers that we created, so that's the black solid, the crates and the grid, are linked to the null. Now, of course, add motion blur to everything. And then you get something like this. As you can see, it's a really cool animation. Change out the objects, change the style, and you got some really nice title animations. Again, if you want to become a pro editor, then do join the Social Creator Club Pro. Link is in the description down below. Do let me know what you want to see next. Then, like always, thanks for all the support. Don't forget to subscribe, and then I'll see you next time. Bye.